Hello and welcome back to the House of Worth. So if you came across this video, it is because you are ready to begin designing your signature lifestyle from the inside out. So the last episode was about the first house. This is about your appearance and how you present yourself in the world. And we dove into the closet, we purged, we got rid of things, we got clear on our personal style. Now, remember, I do not have your natal chart in front of me, so I can only give you basic examples of each zodiac sign and what the aesthetic would be according to that zodiac sign. Today, we're going to be diving into the second house. And the second house is your house of worth, it is your self worth. See, here's the thing, because we've learned how to live our lives externally, meaning we are looking for people to tell us what our value is, we operate from a place of unworthiness and not being enough. And House of Worth is teaching you how to use astrology from a psychological way to build your archetype. And because life is cyclical, astrology is a wheel, and we go through cycles just like a hero's journey. And we go through all of the houses because they represent areas in our life. And when we complete a cycle, we do it all over again, but as a different version of yourself. So I'm creating this because I want you to get excited as much as I am about creating my avatar that is so uniquely mine that I don't blend in anymore. See, when we don't have confidence or self esteem, which is the first house energy, like asserting yourself in the world with your appearance, then we let the world dictate like what our personal style is. We follow trends. And that's why you saw in your closet that you had so many items that you wondered why you even bought them. So let's just dive into the second house. The second house, you will have a different zodiac sign according to your rising sign in that house. This house represents your material world. It is how you use your five senses. It's the house of your self worth. It is also the house of your talents and skill sets. But you forgot that those talents, because they come so naturally to you, that they were given from the heavenly bodies so that you could exchange your value for money, to earn money, or to even, I know that there are other people that say that when you go into the 5D world, there is no money. But unfortunately, we are operating in the 3D world. And in this matrix, we use money as a tool to exchange for value. But you first need to know what your value is. And if you've been giving your value away freely because it comes so naturally, know that this was the gift that you came in to this lifetime for. And that's what people want from you. But if you don't have healthy boundaries, you don't know your worth, you don't know your value, you're going to give that away. And it's because you feel like it must not have any worth to it because it's so easy for you. And that is the program that we have to work hard for our money. And in the House of Worth, I go through neuroplasticity to help you to reprogram the subconscious mind. Second house is going to remind you of how you move in the material world, what you came here to, how do you want it to express your intrinsic value and not give it away so freely. But you first have to get to owning your worth and knowing that you have value. So let me just give you an example. I have Pisces in the second house, okay? Pisces is naturally ruled by Neptune, and Neptune is the planet of I dream. So in the material world, I am a dreamer. But if you have the world reflecting back to you saying that you have your head in your clouds and that you're unrealistic and all of the negative things, you shut that part of yourself down. But really what a dreamer means is that you are innovative. So if you have Pisces in the second house like I do, that means you're an Aquarius rising. And Aquarius risings are nonconformists. They create their own fashion, their own personal style. They create everything, they innovate. And so you have to have that strong imagination. You have to have the strength of being able to dream. And so I shut that down because remember, if you feel like you've been rejected for who you are because of the way you dress or the way that you present yourself in the world, then it's very hard for you to find your self-worth and your value in the second house. We're going to get into each second house placement according to your rising sign and what your style would be for your living room. Now, I'm choosing the living room. Remember, I'm going through the houses and I'm using a room in your physical home in order to help you to use it more practically to remember what we're talking about. That's how my brain works. So I chose the living room because in a traditional home growing up, there was always a formal living room. That was the room that you put all of the things that you treasured, like the material world for the second house. It's where you put your collections. Now, thinking of Taurus, Taurus loves to collect things. They like to tell a story in their space. So I remember even growing up, I mean, true story there, my mom had a friend, and this woman, I believe she was an Aquarius rising because she was a little eccentric. She was a nonconformist. And she was in her 70s. And this woman, she wore her big Afro wigs and her platforms. And this was back in like the late 70s. But they called her Miss Hollywood because she wasn't slowing down for anyone. But I do remember, even though she lived in an apartment because her husband had cheated on her, and so she was a single woman in her 70s, but she was living her life to the fullest. She lived in an apartment, but her living room was like hands off. Like when we would go over there, we would sit in the dining room. I remember just sitting around the table. It's like she didn't want you in her living room because that's where all of her important things are. And I even remember one time my mom had my younger sister there, and my younger sister was climbing all over her couch, and she was like, it's time to go, because it's like that's how important your living room is. And nowadays we have family rooms and we really don't use the formal living room. And a lot of homes are being built without a formal living room. But I'm using the living room, even if you don't have a formal living room, as a way for you to understand how you use the second house and what it means. Okay. And this is all about creating your signature lifestyle, designing your signature lifestyle. So by me showing the aesthetic of that room, it helps you to understand your personal style. House of Worth is taking you through the houses, and I'm relating it to each room. And the second house is your living room. So if you are an Aries rising, then you're going to have Taurus in the second house. And Taurus is grounded, earthy, texture, because remember, Taurus's energy is a sensualist. This image right here is the style of what your aesthetic would be. It is a little bit eclectic, but it is all about the fabrics, the textures, the lighting, having plants, be like wanting to have the inside of your home feel like nature, like bringing the outside in. Might feel like a little bit a mixture of natural woven fabrics, rattans, but then also like driftwood tables and a textured fabric on your sofa, but then also having a place to put your collectibles like bookshelves. And lighting is key. So, your natural skills and how you would earn your money through being a Taurus second house would be through your senses. You might have a natural gift of cooking or maybe even just showing people the more sensual things, how to enjoy life from the senses. And a lot of it's also the house of what you put in your mouth. So you might be drawn to being a chef. That could be a natural skill, but you have a way of being grounded in making people feel and enjoy life. It's like you enjoy good food, travel, sunsets. And so you help people to see that. That just comes naturally to you. Now, if you are a Taurus rising, then you would have Gemini in your second house. And Gemini is more of following trends, bright colors, just kind of this vibrant feeling when you come into the space. So, this is an example of a Gemini rising living room. Now, remember, if you don't resonate with this style, it is because you have to look where your Venus is, what is the ruler of your so Gemini is Mercury, right? Mercury is the natural ruler, and Mercury is all about I speak. You want to find where you have Mercury in your chart because that is going to give you another layer along with your Venus placement of what your aesthetic would look like. So this is just like the basics. This represents Gemini um, second house in your aesthetic. And then you can add to it with the other placements to create your unique signature style. Because remember, we are all like snowflakes. And as a Gemini second house and being ruled by Mercury, your natural skill set is that you're a social butterfly. You love to learn a lot of things. So you love to read, you love to teach. You're very witty, but you do it in a practical way. So those are your skills that come to you naturally when you're thinking of monetizing your gifts. Now, if you are a Gemini rising, you would have Cancer in your second house. So, Cancer is naturally ruled by the moon. So, it is about I feel. The moon represents I feel. But you remember, it still has the energy of Taurus. So, it is a grounded energy as well. This is more of like Cancer is a water sign. So you might be drawn to watery colors, but then you also like the comfort. So think of like Nancy Meyers, if you love Nancy Meyer movies and the aesthetic of the room, like Something's Gotta Give, that kind of feeling. That would be your style. So you would be drawn to blues and silvers and comfort. This is an image of a living room that represents a Cancer second house. Now, also remember when we're talking about self worth, Cancer is naturally ruled by the moon, but the moon represents your subconscious mind. So these are beliefs that you have, these limiting beliefs that you have to break away so that you can show up fully as yourself, your signature design, going back to you being like a snowflake. Now, if you have a Cancer in the second house, then your natural skill set is to be nurturing, to make people feel loved but cared for. And so everything that you do um, is so inviting and people feel cared for in your presence and you're easy to talk to and a lot of people just open up to you. So those are your natural gifts of making people feel at home. And then also because of it being ruled by the moon, you really show people how to trust their intuition and how to reprogram the subconscious mind. So your gifts could be working in the home, working in like the hospitals, taking care of people and nurturing others. If you are a Cancer rising, then you would have a Leo second house. And Leos want things to feel bold, but comfortable and warm. And so if you might like things that are that feel more opulent. Now remember, Leo's natural ruler is the sun. And so the sun is I am. So when you decorate, you want people to know that they have just entered a Leo's living room. And so it might feel over the top. And this is an image of a living room if you have a Leo in your second house of worth. This is where your value comes from. So Leos are generous, loyal, they're leaders, they inspire others. So it's like your living room is going to inspire other people. If you have a Leo second house, your natural skills are being a natural born leader. You're like the lighthouse. So you came here to be a guide, to inspire others. But remember, a spotlight can be blaring. So if you get too egotistical and you force yourself, people will get turned off. So it's about learning how to allow others to be inspired by you instead of you forcing your gift on to them. So if you are a Leo rising, then it means that you have a Virgo in the second house. Virgo is ruled by Mercury, and Mercury is I speak. And so the energy of Virgo is to simplify things, to clean and simple and organized and planned and thoughtful. But not only that, it is being grounded because Virgo is an earth sign. But then you think about the nuance of Taurus, and Taurus loves the natural elements. And so both of those earth signs getting together creates a more down to earth, but cohesive and well thought out and not too fussy with a bunch of collections aesthetic. And so when you think of your worth in this house, perfectionism is what comes to mind. And so if you are wanting things to feel perfect all of the time and you don't have exactly what you want, you will just leave it alone. You'll get too much in your head about it and you're just like, I'm not going to decorate at all. And so this is about letting go of perfection while you are creating this space and while you are showing up in your life with your value and your strength. Because remember, how you would make your money is through planning, through like health, because Virgo naturally rules health. And you just naturally have the gift of paying attention to detail. And as a Virgo second house, your natural skill is being able to communicate with others. You know, you're attracted to like routines and habits and rituals. You could be someone that would help others get their thoughts down on paper um, because you are so good at speaking. Mercury is the planet of I speak, I think, I teach, I learn, but then it is also not getting in your head and overthinking, having a plan, writing it down, having a checklist. Those are your strengths and your natural talents. Now, if you are a Virgo rising, then you would have a Libra in the second house. And this is the natural place for Libra because Venus is Libra's ruler. So you have Venus, which is the planet of I love. helping you to create so much beauty in the world. And so, as a Libra in the second house, your strengths are relationship, bringing beauty into relationships. But not only that, it could be in the beauty industry, creating things, but from your gift of what it means to feel beautiful. And it's going to go back to your Virgo, which for you, Virgo is all about being, you know, simplified, detail oriented. And because of your first house, your second house is like, okay, this comes to me naturally. I create balance and order and equality. And it's all with relationships and expressing beauty in the world. Those are your gifts. But if you're a Libra rising, when it comes to your living room, this is what you would be attracted to as your aesthetic: beautiful, timeless, balanced, peaceful, uh, you know, colors just being very neutral and not overpowering, a sense of femininity in the space. Now, if you are a Libra rising, then you will have Scorpio in the second house. And Scorpio's aesthetic is naturally ruled by Pluto, and Pluto is the planet of I transform. It is also the co-ruler of Mars, and so Mars is the planet of I act. And so if you could be a little aggressive and forceful, but you get things done, okay? So in your second house, you will be drawn to, you're very private. And so you want a place that feels like you can get away from it all. But again, remember, you have different nuances according to your placements. Now, your natural gifts as a Scorpio second house are that you have you easily go through death and rebirth and transform, and you show other people how easily it is to not hold on to things and be able to move through the material world without being so attached. But also, the eighth house is the house of secret knowledge and the occult. And so you'll have a mysterious air to you, and you will be drawn to those subjects. So, in the second house, as the way that you make your money and your natural talents, you understand the occult, and you come off as being more like a mystic. And Pluto transforms old ways, like going through a metamorphosis. So you would be great at counseling and helping others to transform their lives. It is also the house that rules intimacy in the eighth house. The eighth house rules intimacy, sex. And so you could be like a sex counselor, or help people transform any beliefs around that, but very sensual because of the second house. So you find your worth in transforming, helping other people transform their life. That is your gift. That is your superpower. But you must first know that that is your power, that you are the mystic, and trust your inner knowing in order for you to know your value. And sometimes because of your mysteriousness, you can be misunderstood, coming off as very edgy and not giving a shit, okay? So knowing how to balance that. Now, if you are a Scorpio rising, then you would have Sagittarius in your second house. And Sagittarius's aesthetic is more global, collected over time, well-traveled. This is the image here. And in your house of worth, you find value in communicating with different cultures. Now, remember, Sagittarius is naturally ruled by Jupiter, and Jupiter is the planet of I expand. You expand the mind. You're the truth seeker. Um, you love to travel so you can get to know different cultures. You think of in the higher mind, sharing your philosophy in life. And so traveling and experiencing other different cultures really enhances that. And so your living room, what you value, this is what it would look like this in this image here. A well-traveled room over time that takes you into another world, that expands you when you're there. And in order to step into your worth, you have to trust your inner knowing, your philosophy, and believe in your value and not get so stuck in dogma and the patriarchal system that, and all of the systems that are patriarchal, because even the ninth house rules religion. And so if you're so caught up in old systems, then you push that on to other people. So it's being flexible and understanding, because it is a fire sign, that you can inspire others without having to push your inner knowing on others. And don't get on the pulpit and preach. Okay, if you are a Sagittarius rising, then you will have a Capricorn in your second house. So this is your living room aesthetic here. Your aesthetic is more traditional. It is an earth sign, so it's more grounded, more traditional. So think Ralph Lauren. Um, you also like systems and clarity. And so you have a way of doing things, and that's the way it's going to happen. So this is a beautiful space for you, but you like it more edited. And because it's ruled by Saturn, Capricorn's ruled by Saturn, it's I achieve. So you will achieve in your material world to have the things that you find that are special to you. So think of Capricorn as the father energy, wanting things that are sturdy, that have, there's a reason, practical, there's a reason why you have those things. So in your living room, you would purchase things that were long lasting, that were sturdy, quality wood. Even think of like the symbol of the ram, like hitting its head against the mountain. Like you want things that are going to last. So when it comes to purchasing, you'll keep those items for a very long time, because you're going to buy quality items in your living room. And so your natural gift is to achieve. It's very important that your public reputation is polished. And so you might even have the natural skill of wanting to be an advocate, being getting into politics, or working for a nonprofit organization. Those are your gifts, because you want other people to achieve as well. So you'll create those systems that, like, you do well in any organization, helping them to create the systems that they need in order to run more smoothly. That's your natural gift in the second house. Now, if you don't believe, if you have an image problem, going back to the first house, and you don't feel like you are worthy and you're confident about what you achieve, then you won't use those natural gifts. Because one of the things with the house of worth is we need to reprogram the brain that money is your value. You come in with value. The money is only in exchange for your value. So if you don't believe that you are enough, and you don't believe those things about yourself, then it takes you out of the game. So this is about reprogramming your views on what it means to achieve. And then also, because it is the planet of Saturn, if you had a strong, forceful relationship with a father figure, that could affect your confidence level in the second house. Now, if you are a Capricorn rising, then you would have an Aquarius second house. And Aquarius is all about being a nonconformist, innovative, dancing to the beat of your own drum. You are not going to be a follower. And so your living room would look like this. And you might find that it's hard for you to create your style because of the fact that you don't want what everybody else has. You want it to feel eclectic. Think Martin Lawrence, the interior designer, celebrity interior designer. He is Martin Lawrence has a very eclectic vibe, and like bohemian and antiques and textures and very rich. So this image here shows a living room of an Aquarius second house. And so in your in the world, because of the way that you think, you might deal with a lot of rejection. People don't understand why you want to create things because it's never been done before. So again, it is about understanding that you are here for change because Uranus is the natural ruling planet of Aquarius. And Aquarius is nonconformity is about changing other people's perspective. And Uranus is the planet of I change, but then also the co ruling planet is Saturn, and Saturn is I achieve. And so you're going to do things that nobody's ever done before. And people might think you're weird. You might feel like a unicorn when it comes to really sharing your skills and talents. But that's what you're here for. You are here to make people think outside the box. That is your gift. Now, if you have dealt with rejection, you've got to find that that is your value. You need to reprogram the belief that says you don't have value because you're different. Now, if you are in Aquarius rising, then you would have Pisces in the second house. And in the beginning of this video, I talked about Pisces. So I'm going to go over it briefly. This would be your aesthetic as a Pisces second house for the living room. Again, I have to reiterate, we talked about your avatar, your rising sign, and your Venus placement for your overall aesthetic. I don't have your natal chart, so I'm using the living room. Like I said in the beginning, in the second house with Pisces, it is naturally ruled by Neptune, and Neptune is the planet I dream. So you have to tap into that artistic, creative, imaginative side of you. You're compassionate. You have so much empathy and you can feel others. So you have to learn how to guard your energy because you'll take on other people and they'll drain you. And so if you don't know that you have value and you're not owning your worth, you're going to give away your energy all of the time. And you're going to feel exhausted and used and overworked and overwhelmed and underpaid. And then it gets into avoidance and addiction. So it's very important for you to protect your energy with the Pisces second house when it is sharing your skills, because you will notice that you attract a lot of people in, a lot of narcissistic people, because you are so empathic and you see people and they feel seen in your presence, and so then they take advantage of you if you don't know your value because you overgive. You become the people pleaser. And so with this aesthetic of a Pisces is more like free flowing, comfortable, fluid energy. And this would be your aesthetic. It's like more of a dreamy like living room. And all of the things that are important to you are going to be, they're going to come from your dream state. And so this is your vibe. Lastly, but not least, if you are a Pisces rising, you will have Aries in the second house. And what that means for you is you are here to pioneer in something new. Your aesthetic, take a look at this image here. It is contemporary, sleek. You like red, black, white, gray. uh, chrome finishes, glass, very, very modern, very clean. You gravitate towards red because of being a fire sign. But your gift is, and your skill and talent is that you have an idea and you will assert yourself and you will bring it into fruition. Now, because you're a cardinal sign, sometimes you might start with a flame, like go get it, and then you'll putter out and you won't follow through or finish. So be sure that that when you set your mind to it, that you finish it. And because of your idea of what you want to bring through, sometimes it can come off as being reactive or aggressive. So you have to learn patience. And this is how you move into the world. You've got to have confidence, assert yourself, follow through with those ideas, and know that you might not see an example of someone else doing the thing that you're doing because you pioneer something in new. And this is your aesthetic if you have an Aries in the second house. Now we went through all of the second house, and now I'm going to just briefly go over the planets so you can correlate with that. Sun is I am, Moon is I feel, Mercury is I speak, Venus is I love, Mars is I act, and Jupiter is I expand, Saturn is I achieve, and Neptune is I dream, Uranus is I change, and Pluto is I transform. So think of what those planets do in your house, what they're helping you to do. And then also know that with neuroplasticity, once you start engaging with this on a regular basis and you start noticing the programming, journal about it, because when you write things down, you can see what you're thinking about, what's coming up on repeat, so you can change it. Neuroplasticity says that your neurons in your brain are firing through habit and programming. And this is all about creating a vision of you that you know that you came here to express, and owning it. And then when any of those unworthy thoughts, second house, come up, you need to replace it with a positive thought. And then showing up when I say I act, right? Act as if. Because the more that you show up as your authentic version, the more comfortable you get with being that authentic version. And you've let go of this program that has been running your reality, and you feel like you're living in a false matrix, because this is about you showing up as your sovereign being, your authentic self. And through that, you're going to stretch yourself and get uncomfortable. And so doing things like with that are showing your worth and having boundaries and saying no to people, and getting comfortable with that, because you know that you have intrinsic value, and that you're not here to people please and give it away. You came here because you have a gift that you're supposed to bring into the world and own that part of you. That is the sun energy. That is the I am energy. And then through repetition and affirming it, and even when we talk about meditation and visualization, start seeing yourself and feeling into it, and fall in love with the hero's journey, because every time you let go and release this old part of you and you step into a new version of yourself, it's exciting. So as the universe works together to conspire your abundant, enchanted life, you move through and go on new adventures. And I want you to think of the star image, a 5-pointed star. And here is what you need to remember through this process: as above, so below; as within, so without. So the cosmos above are transiting, and they affect the earth. they're affecting your inner world as well, because you have the galaxy within, you have the God consciousness. And so you are feeling the heavenly bodies from above, but then you have that blueprint that was given to you from your natal chart that is expressing itself through your spirit. And that's why it's within. Your spirit within has this natural blueprint, and then it's expressing without. It is living your life from the inside out. And we are designing our signature life in this house of worth in order to be more authentic. If you like this episode, make sure you hit the subscribe and you hit the like button, and leave me a comment if you know what came up for you with your worthiness and the second house. And also, this next episode that we're going into is the third house. And the third house is all about how you communicate in the world, and how you communicate with others, how you learn. And it's just another layer of how we evolve. So if you're not communicating like you should be, you're going to feel like you are out of balance. And I will see you next time.